So we're just going to get straight into it, I think, because most people know me and they can kind of find me anyway in the landscape of the internet, on LinkedIn and everywhere else. Everything is linked to me. Very briefly, I'm Rachel Sheila Khan. I'm an ecosystem architect, architect of this ecosystem here, and a circular fashion professional with real circularity and circular earth. And yeah, what I'm going to share with you today is the Ecosystem Incubator, which was a project that's now coming into lots of different fruitions. It was started when I started to look into regenerative practice, not just in the product sense, but regenerative practice in the way that we actually configure our businesses, our communities, our kind of other systems like this. These kind of things could be applied to other systems such as politics, etc. We're not going to go down that route today. We're going to focus on the incubator itself and the system that was created to create collaboration. And it was collaboration to co-create with like-minded people who would be able to lift each other up, work with each other, and create something larger than oneself in many different ways. So I like a little quote when I start things, and this is a quote called, it says, "True innovation occurs when things are put together for the first time that had been separate." And I find a lot of time when we're working on our different projects and businesses or our freelance work, whatever it is you're doing out there, even inside of businesses, sometimes it can feel like you're very separate from everyone else. Those who have been in the sustainability side of things for a while are probably more used to collaboration than others. But we wanted to actually create a space where this collaboration could thrive. And the idea is that no one tree could be a forest alone, and that when we start to come together and co-create this forest of different autonomous brands, consultants, garment techs, designers, right through to people who are growing really interesting stuff. And some of the things that I'll have to kind of talk through rather than show through, because there's so much going on in the incubator sometimes. It's sometimes difficult to remember everything. So this is the structure of the ecosystem, which is looking at the different niches that are out there in our fashion world and creating these communities that are linked together, right? So the structure is that we have different trees for different niches. Now, it doesn't mean to say that these niches can't interact. In quite the contrary, everyone interacts together as a forest, but then into their niche groups. So we've seen a lot of sort of people creating streamlines together, for instance, in our bigger tree, which is the lingerie tree, working on how they could collaborate on manufacturing systems and manufacturing itself, working with coming together on MOQs, and streamlining the actual physical movement of goods from one place to another. Inside those trees, there are, of course, like the idea is that it's kind of like a tree, and that the factories, the mills, the growers are the mighty roots. By no means are they the bottom, because they could become brands themselves, like I'll show later on. The trunk are the designers, the sustainability consultants, the researchers, marketing, R&D, all of the professionals inside the trade. And then there are lots of people who want to create brands and already have created brands, and they want to come in together and work with people in the incubator. And so sometimes it is about kind of finding other people, linking with other people, maybe in the brand branches as well as the possibility of that the trunk and the factories and mills, etc., could actually co-create a brand together, and so on and so forth. We actually found that the possibilities were endless once we started to work in this way. Now, this is what we focus on, much more the actual forest itself. And then long term, we look to adding in an e-com section and more tech to it. At the moment, we've created social proof. So we've done it on a white label platform. And that's actually been a really great place to work with a lot of the people and a lot of the collaboration so far. So what we're moving into now is building with more collaborators and getting a sizable amount of people to then start to work into the tech aspect into the future. Originally, this everything was not massively about me. It was created by you, created by other people, everyone that came together. I didn't want to dictate what an ecosystem might look like. So I spent a lot of time in the early days working with other professionals in different aspects, whether it was growing, whether it was brands, whether it was people in circularity, like the amazing John Parkinson down here, who's been working on that circular knitwear for a very long time, for his entire life, in fact. So I wanted to get a good idea of the kind of ecosystem that would want to be created. So I let the community work on what those benefits would look like. When we spoke to those people, there was this whole separation that they were speaking about earlier on, in that when they were creating their brands, working on their projects, etc., sometimes it can feel quite lonely. Even inside a large business as usual corporation, sometimes that happens, right? So we wanted to identify really what was the issues that were stopping people just generally in their work, in their building their business, etc., etc. And what might reconnection look like? What might collaboration look like? What might mutual learning look like? So we started to kind of assess what that might be. And we found that it might become a mindset shift, mutual learning, age of wisdom, creating something bigger than oneself, a little bit of hope, right? If you're coming together with like-minded peers, you're going to have far more hope in the aspect of, a more positive future. And intergenerational respect, future thinking. And this idea that I have has been simulated by many different places from my regenerative practice, called cathedral thinking, where we're creating something that might take years or way past my life to build, but I'm going to grow it anyway. The other thing of building relationships, like solid relationships that these people far more, virtues, values, and a transparency to everything. And I've actually found over the years, and this has been probably 3 years where we've built it up to this point, right, that there is far more transparency because you're dealing with the people right at the seed source, right, generally. And actually the integrity of the ecosystem has been upkept just by the kind of like-minded people that have joined it. So the key benefits of collaboration are infinite. As I say, there are many ways to come together, co-create brands, look at circularity together, links out there to those artisan and source areas. Co-marketing, we've done quite a lot of that actually. That has been one of the first port of calls that we've done, either in real life collaborating on events or collaborating on say trade show booths together, and also co-marketing in the digital space as well with the projects that complement the incubator also. Some of the things I spoke about earlier on, like the streamlining, looking at co-distribution, collaboration on MOQs, and et cetera. As I said, generally, it was seen once we started to figure out, like, oh goodness, like, actually we could start to come together to collaborate on a hell of a lot of things. And you might be like warning bells, oh, well, how do we kind of work with that in this business as usual landscape? So I actually created collaborative law agreements as well, so that anyone who's actually forming a solid collaboration, you know, for at least for a long period of time, would actually be able to use our documents to feel safer about that long-term collaboration. For the short-term collaborations, for the co-marketing or the sort of collaboration on small comings together in say the trade show booth, we wouldn't really bother to use them, but actually we have started to use them for the more lengthy collaborations. So the idea of living systems thinking in you know, building it, growing a living system like a forest or any other sort of ecosystem metaphor, is to come away from these hierarchical organizations, and that these that actually the bottom up way, or the people inside of an organization anyway, really know the fundamentals of what they their specialism, right? So actually they'd be able to innovate far more than say any top-down institution anyway. So what we thought is actually we could synthesize this and work like this with our micro businesses and our consultants and everyone who's in the incubator to start to create a living, breathing ecosystem. This can be done also in large corporations as well, or any size of corporation. So and this is not just me being woo-woo. This has actually been synthesized and worked on in real life with my regenerative mentors who have worked with Vivo Barefoot, and also into Patagonia in its very first sort of instance. So that's kind of the structure, that it becomes a living, breathing system that moves and adjusts. And hello, someone's joined. I'm just going to say hello and then mute you. Hello, Jay, nice to meet you. I think we've met on a few occasions, or definitely I've seen you pop up a lot. So I'm just halfway through, so I'm going to mute you, but we can say hi after. Fab. So that's the structure, and of course a lot of blueprints have not been made for this, so we are really creating some of the first kind of structures in this space. Of course there are other old structures like the cooperative movement and steward ownership and things like that definitely you can look at, and definitely I used a lot of that for inspiration also. Someone's chatting. Yeah, hello. So examples of what we have co-created, some of you know this already and will have seen this online, but Sandra Stories is a collaboration that's brought together many different people with different specialisms, like myself on design project management, and also on this on architecting this first collaborative co-created brand. Joe and Kishore, who work very much in the regenerative space for the growing of the regenerative cotton, the hand weaving of it, very much a craft-led thing. And we wanted to create something that would showcase that, but in a very new way. So we worked with creating this design where it would be a modular circular design that it's using the regenerative cotton, but also thinking about designing that in its sense of place, etc. So there's many amazing aspects of the actual product itself. Claudia is a garment tech and has extensive experience working with Burberry and others. Because this garment was very adjustable, so it's adjustable width-wise, length-wise, it's also genderless, it really needed that professional approach to the sizing, as does any brand, right? So we also have a new person joined, Safia, who's going to be working on the marketing. And the idea is that everyone comes together, collaborates with their time, their expertise, to create something that showcases not only what can be done in a circular product, but also each of the different respective businesses in the collaborative. So sometimes these collaborations not just face value a product. Of course, we've created a really great product, and we've started to create sales around that as well, with what we're calling our community buying club, where everyone sort of pre-orders it and things like that. So there's an actual structure around the way that the brand is grown as well over time. But yeah, it creates respectively for each of the players a positioning on or a new positioning with their different skills and offers in the background as well. So that's been really beneficial. Like I said, we've come together and done a lot of events. This left picture is from Donut Economics, where we actually came together. This was one of the first meetings of the incubator after lockdown. So that's why there's not so many of us, and actually it's grown since then. See, amazing Kishore's still there, amazing guy. But again, it's sort of collecting together to work on collective intelligence, on on education pieces, and also on this collaborative marketing. We also showcased collaboratively and sponsored the Sustainable Fashion Week in September last year. The right picture is a example of a grassroots project which is called the Circle Rooms, which we're growing, which is about repair, upcycle, and swapping, but also creating a new retail environment for that, alongside with education for and talks and things around sustainability for people in actually my local area, because these women actually were from my local area, so we actually were able to physically get together much more.
We also co-created with one of our members, Contemporary Hempery, a harvest retreat. So they've been growing hemp in the UK, and they needed to figure out how they're going to get to the next stage of creating a fabrication. And of course, that comes with creating revenue, money, etc., etc. So one of our first port of calls was to come together and to co-create a harvest retreat where people would come for an edutainment experience. It was a really great event, lasted for 2 days, and subsequently they are actually doing that again this year, so you can go and have a look at that and join in the edutainment area.
So yeah, there's many examples, and I could go on for a very long time, but essentially it is like a start of coming together, co-creating and working in very dynamic ways. So come with us on this journey, join the ecosystem community, which is again this active community and actions on collaboration. You come into the Circle space, which is a platform to grow the community and aid collaboration. It is a whole £10 a month as an initial seed member, which is kind of like buying me a coffee these days, about 2.5 times, right? Every month, right? So you come and then you incubate with us and shape it collaboratively. Like, come bring your skills to the table, find others to connect with and co-create something that can be that showcase, or could be that collaborative joint effort that comes and showcases your autonomous businesses together, etc., etc., etc. We do monthly collaboration meetings where we come together as a whole forest, just to sort of start to put out there what's going on out there, what collaborations could we create. Innovation meetings, we're actually doing collaborative research on natural dyes and toxins at the moment as well. So there's a definite coming together of minds and experience, and also networks in gathering information as well, which will only enhance what we're all doing. We obviously look at collaborative events, building connections, and so on and so forth. Indeed, whatever we need to co-create. I also offer a podcast recording with all members. You are free to choose or not choose that. But it does help in sort of getting things out there to the world, if you are open to that. The future of the ecosystem is what we make of it together, and that's what I'm going to leave you with today.
To join us inside the Ecosystem Incubator, go to the ecosystemincubator.com and select Join the seed space. See you on the other side.